You're carrying 70 pounds of fuel on your back, and everyone wants you dead. On the black volcanic sands of Iwo Jima in 1945, US flamethrower operators were some of the most feared and most doomed soldiers in the Pacific Theater. Their weapon could turn a fortified bunker into a furnace in seconds. But wielding that kind of power came at a brutal cost. What made their survival chances so slim? Why were these soldiers considered walking death sentences before they even reached the front lines? In this video, we'll uncover the terrifying truth behind the missions these men were ordered to carry out. We'll explore the unforgiving battlefield they fought on, the deadly gear they had to wear, and the reason Japanese snipers were told to kill them first at all costs. This isn't just about tactics or weapons. It's about raw survival, human endurance, and the unbearable weight of duty in one of the bloodiest battles of World War II. Iwo Jima was just 8 square miles of volcanic rock. But to the US Marines who landed there in February 1945, it felt like the surface of another planet one designed to kill. The Japanese knew this island would be attacked, and they prepared for it like never before. Instead of defending the beaches, they transformed the entire island into a fortress. Over 11 miles of tunnels snaked underground, connecting pillboxes, bunkers, and artillery positions. Each cave system was reinforced with steel doors and designed to absorb direct hits from bombs and artillery. On the surface, nothing was safe. The fine, ash-like sand offered no cover. The tanks got stuck. Troops couldn't dig foxholes. Every step forward felt like walking into a sniper's scope. Japanese defenders, nearly 21,000 of them, had orders not to fight to win, but to die while inflicting maximum damage. They were invisible, entrenched, and determined to take 10 Americans for every one of them. And in the middle of this calculated death trap, flamethrower operators had to walk directly into fortified nests of machine guns and hidden soldiers out in the open, slow, and highly flammable. Iwo Jima wasn't just another island. It was a graveyard in waiting. And for the men carrying flame and fuel on their backs, it was almost certainly their final destination. The flamethrower was one of the most terrifying weapons of World War II, both for those who wielded it and those on the receiving end. The M2 flamethrower, standard issue for US forces on Iwo Jima, wasn't just a weapon, it was a walking bomb. It carried around 70 pounds of pressurized fuel and nitrogen on the operator's back, connected by a hose to a handheld nozzle. With the squeeze of a trigger, it could shoot a 20 to 40-foot stream of liquid fire, instantly engulfing bunkers, tunnels, and trenches. It was devastatingly effective. Traditional weapons often failed against Japanese positions fortified deep within volcanic rock. But fire crept into every crack. It suffocated defenders, burned off oxygen, and flushed out enemies hiding underground. No weapon inspired more fear among the Japanese troops. But using it meant becoming a target. The tanks were heavy. The operator had to walk slowly, often exposed. And unlike riflemen, flamethrower operators had no range advantage. They had to get close, dangerously close, to deliver the fatal burst. Worse still, the fuel tanks could explode if hit by gunfire. One lucky shot from a sniper, or a burst from a machine gun, and the operator could be incinerated instantly. They weren't just vulnerable, they were fragile. And they rarely fought alone. Often, flamethrower units had to be escorted by riflemen or engineers, drawing even more fire as they approached enemy bunkers. It became a deadly race. Could the flamethrower operator get close enough before being gunned down? To improve survivability, some flamethrowers were mounted on Sherman tanks, dubbed Satan tanks. But even then, in the brutal maze of Iwo Jima, many missions still required a human operator to crawl, walk, or run directly toward death. This wasn't heroism in theory. This was heroism under fire, one flame burst at a time. To the Japanese defenders of Iwo Jima, flamethrower operators weren't just enemies, they were nightmares. These soldiers could eliminate an entire fortified position in seconds. The psychological terror of being burned alive was so intense that Japanese troops were known to break cover, something they rarely did, just to avoid the possibility of incineration. So, The command was clear: kill the flamethrowers first. Japanese snipers were trained to spot the silhouette of a fuel tank. Even in the chaos of battle, they would hold fire, waiting for that one shot at a flamethrower operator. Machine gunners did the same. Every time a flamethrower unit advanced, it drew an overwhelming amount of focused, deadly fire. For the US troops, this meant grim expectations. Some flamethrower operators lasted only a few minutes on the battlefield. They weren't just fighting enemy soldiers, they were hunted with surgical precision. Survivors of Iwo Jima recalled watching flamethrower operators being hit mid-mission, some detonating in massive fireballs, others collapsing before ever reaching their target. The horror of those sights was unforgettable. And yet, despite the danger, these soldiers stepped forward again and again. They knew their odds. They knew their role. But they also knew that without them, hundreds more Marines might die, trying to take each bunker by conventional force. In a battle where every inch was bought with blood, they were the ones who lit the path forward at a terrible cost. During the 6-week battle for Iwo Jima, casualty rates among flamethrower operators reportedly reached up to 92%. That's not just high, it's near suicidal. Most never made it back. And those who did carried permanent scars, both physical and emotional. The losses weren't just tactical, they were generational. So few operators survived because there weren't enough to train the next wave. The brutal turnover created knowledge gaps, slowed down operations, and exposed fresh recruits to even more danger. Their sacrifices, however, were not in vain. Flamethrower operators cleared the way for countless Marines to survive. They broke the deadlock in one of the bloodiest campaigns of the war. And while their weapon would eventually fade from military arsenals, the courage they showed became part of US Marine Corps legend. Today, their legacy isn't built on the flame itself, but on the men who carried it, knowing it might be the last thing they ever did. Their story reminds us of a harsh truth in war. Sometimes, the deadliest weapons are born by those with the smallest chances of making it home. If you found this story powerful, hit that like button, subscribe for more history deep dives, and share this to honor those who gave everything.